What if a $5,983 Tesla tiny house could actually end rent forever? No bills, no landlord, no monthly drain. Tesla has hinted at something like this, but nothing is confirmed. No price, no release, and no product on the market yet. Who is this actually built for? This concept is not chasing minimalist influencers or van life enthusiasts. If this ever becomes real, it seems aimed at a very specific group of people, retirees, mostly between 65 and 75, who did everything right and still find their Social Security income shrinking against rising costs every single year. And it goes beyond money. Daily movement changes as you get older. Stairs feel steeper. Reaching across a kitchen or getting up from a low seat takes more out of you than it did 10 years ago. Most housing completely ignores this reality, not because of how it looks, but because of how exhausting it feels to live in. So this conversation is not about downsizing for fun. It is about cutting effort, reducing financial pressure, and holding on to independence for as long as possible. And here is where the math gets uncomfortable. The real price of doing nothing. Staying put feels like a cautious move. No big changes, no risk. But when you actually look at the numbers, staying put is one of the most expensive decisions you can make. Rent alone runs between $2,200 and $2,800 a month for many retirees, and utilities push that number closer to $3,400 when everything is added up. That money leaves every month without building anything. No ownership, no equity, no long-term return. And those numbers are not frozen in place. Energy costs have been climbing around 4.3% per year, which means the expense you have today is not the expense you will have in 5 years. The ground keeps shifting, and staying still just means you feel it more slowly. That is exactly why the idea of a one-time ownership solution, if Tesla ever delivers one, sounds so appealing to so many people right now. So if ownership is the answer, the next question is, what does a home like this actually need to function in real life? What the space needs to actually work. Small does not automatically mean smart. For a home like this to genuinely work long-term, the design would need to be deliberate, not just compact. A realistic footprint sits between 320 and 420 square feet. That could be enough room for a proper living area, a functioning kitchen, and a real bedroom, not a loft or a fold-out that turns sleep into a nightly task. A bedroom you walk into with a fixed bed that stays where it is. The bathroom would need enough clearance for safe movement, not just enough space to technically exist. Because at this stage of life, a home that works against your body is not a home, it is a daily obstacle course. The detail that separates a good layout from a draining one. Most people shopping for a tiny home get focused on square footage, but the thing that decides whether a space feels easy or exhausting is how efficiently you move through it. A well-planned layout would need to create one clear, uninterrupted path through the home. No unnecessary detours, no awkward corners to navigate around. Research on adults over 65 shows that cutting their internal movement by even 20 to 30% leads to a measurable drop in daily fatigue. That is not a small quality of life change. That is the difference between a home that drains you and one you barely notice. When the layout is right, you never think about it. When it is wrong, your body reminds you every evening. When the shine wears off. Looking at how similar compact homes have performed after move-in, a pattern tends to emerge. The first few weeks in a new compact space feel fresh. Everything is simplified, and the efficiency feels almost exciting. By month 3, it just feels normal. And somewhere around month 6, the small frustrations tend to add up in ways people rarely talk about. Interestingly, size is rarely the complaint. It is almost always specific design choices that cause friction. Murphy beds are a popular example. They look clever in a YouTube video, but folding and unfolding one every single day slowly becomes a physical task you start dreading. That kind of low-level inconvenience does not stay low-level in a small space. it compounds. A fixed bed with thoughtful storage built around it solves this completely, and it costs nothing extra to plan for it up front. And the furniture is not even the biggest hidden problem. The problem's hidden behind the pretty photos. If this home ever gets marketed, listings and promotional videos will almost certainly show it at its absolute best. Golden hour lighting, wide-angle lenses, everything looking airy and open. What they do not show is how that same space performs on a gray afternoon or after dark. Large glass panels and floor-to-ceiling windows can cut usable light by 50 to 60% during certain hours, depending on which direction they face. For someone dealing with reduced vision, that creates a real fall risk in a space that was supposed to feel safer than traditional housing. Materials matter in a different way inside a compact home, too. Problems do not spread across a large floor plan. They concentrate. Composite flooring made from high-density polymers would handle moisture, temperature shifts, and daily wear far better than wood, without demanding constant maintenance. In a small space, that kind of durability is not a luxury. It is basic protection against cascading issues. The full cost nobody puts in the headline. If the rumored $5,983 price point holds, or $14,993 for an off-grid version, that would still only be the entry fee, not the finish line. Maintenance calls on homes like this typically run $300 to $600 per visit. Energy bills on comparable systems, marketed as under $100 a month, tend to land between $150 and $220 once you factor in how often HVAC systems cycle in a compact space. And around the 3 to 6 month mark, most owners start making small purchases, extra lighting, storage solutions, furniture adjustments that add another $100 to $300 per month without ever feeling like a big decision. None of these costs are catastrophic on their own. Together, over a couple of years, they push the real cost well past what the headline number suggests. But the hidden costs are only half the problem. The other half shows up years later. Why these homes stop working before you expect them to. The most common reason tiny homes fail long-term has nothing to do with size. It is adaptability, or the lack of it. A home that works perfectly at 67 could become genuinely difficult to live in by 74. New mobility needs, different medical equipment, a kitchen layout that no longer makes sense. These things change, and modular homes are not always built to change with them. When modifications are needed, they tend to touch electrical, plumbing, and structural systems at the same time. Retrofits like these cost between $10,000 and $25,000, based on what similar modular systems have required, with specialist labor running $100 to $150 per hour. A home that looked like a long-term solution can quietly become a short-term one. So what would a version that solves this look like? What Tesla's approach could actually look like? If Tesla moves forward with this, the model would likely not be a single tiny house, but a system. Each modular unit sits between 240 and 280 square feet, but units can be connected and stacked. One unit starts your home, and stacking up to 4 brings you close to 1,000 square feet. The energy side mirrors existing Tesla technology, a 6 kilowatt solar array feeding a 13.5 kilowatt hour Powerwall-style battery, producing roughly 180% of a household's daily energy needs. In theory, that could bring monthly utility costs down from $300 to $400, all the way to $15 to $40. Over 20 years, that gap represents $72,000 to $96,000 in savings. But here's the honest part. None of this exists for consumers yet. Patents are real, energy technology is real, the boxable partnership conversations are real. The product is not. And while waiting for it, the average person is spending around $2,600 every month on rent and utilities. The goal here is never the cheapest house. It is predictable costs, ownership control, and a home that adapts as life does. That is not a product decision. It is a long-term financial strategy.